Guilty. I show them love, they show me hate, but ain't no issues to it. We take them issues, tip that tissue, flush and get through it. We got them hoes, we've been fishing to it. They get these souls for them dollars, now they flipping through it. This world full of sharks, we been swimming through it. They say they got your back, that's sticking to it. I'm trying to save your soul, cause I was meant to do it. They say I'm out my mind, but I be getting to it. Do this for you, just tell them, hold on. Mind of the maker, spirit of the creator. We was taught to cherish the wicked and to embrace them. Born in this world of sin, not that life we chose, just a choice we make. What was the place? We on that grind cause the struggle made hustlers, even made thrillers. Hey, Thunder made them hungry, control became the mission. If you ain't got that dollar, you just can't get this. They created robbing and stealing, we got them hoes for them whole term. Wives in the hoes, just to make the show out of you. Look right past the heart, but you never really know about it. Only what you're told. When the sweater is cold, I ain't talking about that heat for that beef. I'm talking about that darkness in the breach, betrayal, them coffins in the deep. It's hell, you sure I'm saying, sleeping on the trail, left that block with them scales. I show them love, they show me hate, but ain't no issues to it. We take them issues, tip that tissue, flush and get through it. We got them hoes, we've been fishing to it. They get these souls for them dollars, now they flipping through it. This world full of sharks, we been swimming through it. They say they got your back, that's sticking to it. I'm trying to save your soul, cause I was meant to do it. They say I'm out my mind, but I be getting to it. Do this for you. Just tell them, hold on, do this for you, baby, guilty, hold on. Tempted by the devil, devices, tempted by the beauty and the lust of the women. I'm righteous, broken, a place in my heart, a knife is spoken, truth to reveal, open mind. Many messiahs, I'm so close to divine. Feel like the wrist, I'm so close to the line. They trying to bring me down, I was told to just climb. Raised in these streets, but they open them nines. They praying to the sun, we just hoping to shine. They praises to the Father, he would not decline. Raise a child in the way they should go, and they'll do fine. It's a life. Don't put your trust in the wrong one. Might be alone, stay strong, baby on. Guilty. I show them love, they show me hate, but ain't no issues to it. We take them issues, tip that tissue, flush and get through it. We got them hoes, we've been fishing to it. They get these souls for them dollars, now they flipping through it. This world full of sharks, we been swimming through it. They say they got your back, that's sticking to it. I'm trying to save your soul, cause I was meant to do it. They say I'm out my mind, but I be getting to it. Do this for you, just tell them, hold on, do this for you, baby, hold on.
Young Gotti.
I give all praise to the Heavenly Father. I'm gonna read a couple scriptures, but I'm going to some other information. 1 minute.
Running with contrabands.
Second Esdras 7:30. And the world shall be turned into the old silence 7 days, like as in the former judgments, so that no man shall remain. People gotta understand this earth went through cycles, but as in the last 7 days of those judgments, we know that no man shall remain. But in the prophets is spoken that there will be some that will remain. Hebrews 12:26. To the general assembly, the church of firstborn which are written in heaven, and to Allah the judge of all, and to the spirit of just men made perfect, and to Yahushua the mediator of the new covenant, and to the blood of sprinkling that speaketh better things than that of Abel. See that ye refuse not him that speaketh. For if they escape not who refuse him that spake on earth, much more shall not we escape if we turn away from him that speaketh from the heavens, whose voice then shook the earth. But now he hath promised, saying, Yet once more I shake not the earth only, but also heaven. And this word yet once more signifies the removing of those things that are shaken, and of those things that are made, that those things that cannot be shaken may remain. Wherefore we receiving a kingdom which cannot be moved. Let us have grace whereby we may serve Yahweh acceptably with our reverence and godly fear, for our lives a consuming fire. See, we know that America, the elites that's running America, and the ones running Russia and the other countries, they always had a feud between America growing so big in power and not going along with the agenda. They're trying to overpower the people that set this country up. So they always been trying to bring a war between Russia and America. China's also involved. Everything something go down, like the hack, they always say something involve Russia. It's like Hillary, Trump, all they always trying to involve Russia, saying Russia's involved with them. Because it's been a war they've been always trying to bring. Computer loading a little slow. We know there was a project in 1939, the Manhattan Project, was born at the Los Alamos Laboratory in New Mexico. The research and development proposal was undertaken by the U.S., the UK, and Canada to develop atomic weapons during World War II. Engineers under the direction of nuclear physicist Robert Oppenheimer designed two fission bombs, the little boy and fat man, that were later dropped on Japan. So we see they were using Mexico to develop some of these things. We know U.S. planned systematic destruction of Moscow on top secret news document, and it's been going on for a long time. And they've been trying to set these things up. We know over a period of time, through all these wars been going on, these Cold Wars, silent wars, they've been trying to ignite this World War III. They knew any advanced country would be able to develop these things, and there was a sense that we need to stay ahead of Russia. I recall coming across a document that had fairly detailed plans of attacking Russia as early as 1946. They identified a couple of hundred cities and industrial sites that were of interest in a possible war. That planning began very soon after World War II. Between 1945 and the USSR's first detonation of a nuclear device in 1949, the Pentagon developed at least 9 nuclear war plans targeting Soviet Russia. According to U.S. researchers Dr. Michito Kaku and Dr. Daniel Axelrod, the plans dubbed Operation Drop Shot were obtained through the Freedom of Information Act and showed the U.S. military strategies to initiate a nuclear war with Russia. They've been planning over a period of time, and these plans are going into effect. People should know about the bunker builders preparing for doomsday, making a lot of money. For some of the current crisis is a dummy run for the long-term lockdown across the world. Luxury bunkers are being built for a lucky few to survive calamity and collapse. Nestled among Kansas cornfields and a landscape devoid of any noticeable natural topography, a verdant mound can be seen from a dirt road surrounded by military-grade chain fence and the shadow of a large wine turbine. Security guard and camouflage places the fence line with an assault rifle. If you look closely, you might notice what looks like a concrete pillbox. Perched on the top of the small hill, flanked by cameras, what lies underneath is a bunker that is assuming unsellable and to many unbelievable. See, they got these plans because they know what's coming. And they setting up luxury bunkers for the rich. They even got a show on it. So they think they're going to escape this hell that's coming, that they've been causing. We know about the Svalbard Global Sea Vault, deep inside a mountain on a remote island in the Svalbard archipelago, halfway between mainland Norway and the North Pole, lies the Global Sea Vault. I mean, you know about the Sea Vault. And for those that don't know, it's a long-term sea storage facility built to stand the test of time in the times of natural or man-made disasters. The Sea Vault represents the world's largest collection of crop diversity. So they have all types of seas all over the earth and the world. They know what's coming. They know what the prophecy reads. They read these documents, articles, these tablets, these stones, the Sumerian culture. Know about the Hebrew. What's coming. This ain't the only place they got it. Just one place is to let us know about it. Closed beaches. The cost of not hitting the beaches, museums, and airports is mounting. A new study by the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development reckons the slump in global tourism will cost the world economy more than $4 trillion over 2020 and 2021. That's worse than originally estimated and reflects an uneven rollout of vaccinations and a continuation of restrictions in many tourist hotspots. Among those suffering the loss of travelers are Thailand and Turkey. Tourism is a lifetime for millions, and advancing vaccinations to protect communities and support tourism's safe restart is critical to the recovery of jobs and generation of much-needed resources, especially in developing countries, said UN World Tourism Organization Secretary General Zarab Palakashvili. So we see that they losing all this money for all this stuff that they plan to set up. They're now falling. Made a loss of a percentage of GDP in select regions and countries. Bro, Mr. Petit is a member of the staff of the Foundation for Economic Education. Wars aren't what they used to be. Men went off to the Spanish-American War with all the excitement of campfire boys on a picnic. Some of them got hurt, of course, and a number succumbed to various diseases. But as wars go to the finish affairs was just barely big enough for the heroes. One of the heroes for the fracas is Cuba was still the Roosevelt who spake creakingly about the venture. It was not much of a war, he said, but it was the best we could do at the time. So levity was not entirely out of keep going with the temper of the period, but that was 3 big wars ago. Now, after the experience of the past half century, it is unnatural to jest about war. The next world war, which looms on the horizon, holds out the prospect of unrelieved horror. Little horizon, no glory, hence the urgency behind our search for any device which gives promise of staving off the impending catastrophe. World government is one such device, and it has captured the imagination of many intelligent and dedicated people. There are different schemes of world government, but they are alike in advocating a world military police. This is Gert Marie, is to have a monopoly of the world's military weapons to enforce the universal peace which the world government established to maintain. They have all these things set up and planned. How they would do these things when it goes down. But as prophecy said, they will not prevail. COVID-19 has accelerated the world into the future. Here are 5 powerful forces that were at work before COVID-19. They intensified during the pandemic and will still affect the world, and will still affect the world in 2025 and far beyond. First, technology. The march of computing and communication technology continues to reshape lives and economy. Now, broadband communication together with Zoom and similar video conferencing software has made it possible for a huge number of people to work from home. By 2025, it is likely that some possibility most this shift away from offices will have reversed, but it would not do so completely. People will be allowed to work away from the office. Inevitably, this will not only include workers in their home countries, but workers sourced abroad too, usually on low salaries. The result is likely to be a stabilizing increase in what might be called virtual immigration. Second, inequality. Many higher paid office workers have been able to work from home, while most others could not. In Western countries, many of those most adversely affected are also members of ethnic minorities. Meanwhile, many of those already successful and powerful have prospered mightily. Likelihood and that inequality exacerbated in the pandemic will not have reduced by 2025. The forces that have entrenched them are too powerful, modest, and moderation in the most one can accept. This in turn suggests that the populist politics of the recent past will continue to shape politics in 2025. That's why they try to use so many big words so many people don't understand the language they speak, because it's a different type of language they speak. Third, indebtedness. Aggregate indebtedness has grown almost everywhere over the past 4 decades. Moreover, whenever crises have interpreted, the private sector's ability to borrow governments have taken up the slack. This happened after the global financial crisis again during COVID-19. So a lot of stuff been going on since this planned event. The pandemic has dramatically increased borrowing by the private and public sectors. According to the Institute for International Finance, the ratio of global gross debt to world output jumped from an already high 321% at the end of 2019 to 362% at the end of June 2020. Such a huge and sudden jump has not previously occurred in peacetime. Fortunately, government's debt is now extremely cheap with nominal and real interest rates on the sovereign debt of high-income economies at strategically low levels, but their debt overhangs many critical parts of the private sector for years. The interaction between radio transmissions and high-energy particles in space sometimes forms a shield around the planet, protecting it from dangerous cosmic phenomena. They know it's a firmament around the Earth, but they're also saying man has caused a lot of these things too. They're putting their own artificial firmaments around. A pair of NASA space probes detected an artificial bubble around Earth that forms when radio communications from the ground internet interact with high energy radiation particles in space. The agency announced this week the bubbles forms a protective barrier around Earth, shielding the planet from potentially dangerous space weather like solar flares and other injections from the sun. Earth already has its own protective bubble, a magnetic field stretched by powerful solar winds. The artificial bubble that NASA found is an ancient and intended result of the interplay between human technology and nature. When humans want to communicate with submarines near the surface of the ocean, there was a type of radio communication known as very low frequency waves, or VLF, transmitted from stations on the ground. Some of the waves can stretch all the way out into Earth's atmosphere and beyond, where they affect the movement of the radiation particles bouncing around in the region. Sometimes the interaction between VLF and these particles create a barrier that can be seen by spacecraft orbiting the planet. But they're purposely doing a lot of these things, not accidentally. For some people that didn't know, a brief history of Wakanda Black Panther fictional utopia. Okay, we're gonna jump down. The exact location of Wakanda has varied throughout its comic history, but the movie features a zoom and from space that places it somewhere around Rwanda, aiding in isolation from the rest of the world. New comics explain the country is bordered by hills, mountains, and by the sprawling lake, Nyanza. In the movie, it's also protected by a hologram that hides the capital city from the outside eye. This is the purpose of this, see? In the movie, it also protected by a hologram that hides the capital from the outside city from the outside eyes. And that's like this little hologram bubble that they know how to make. And they also can make a barrier from it. That's one thing they putting around the Earth, and that's one thing that they're trying to block other lands and locations using this type of device and technology. Wakandas have their own language, which is played in the movies, like Hosha, a Bantu language spoken in South Africa. That's what people need to understand too. They said they had to use Israelites to even play these parts in this movie.
SG on the beat.
The most famous paradox in physics nears its end. In a landmark series of calculations, physicists have proved that black holes can share information, which seems as possible by definition. The work appears to resolve a paradox that Stephen Hawking first described 5 decades ago. See, these people are messing with things they shouldn't be messing with. But you know, the ones set up and doing this are Satan, Enkidu, the fallen, the Watchers, and their children, certain Preadamites that come from them. In a series of breakthrough papers, theoretical physicists have come tentatively to a resolving the black hole information paradox that has interest and been about them for years, nearly 50 years. Information they now say with confidence doesn't escape a black hole. If you jump into it, you will not be gone for good. Particle by particle, the information need to reconstitute your body will reemerge. Most physicists have long assumed it would. That was the upshot of string theory. They're a living candidate for an unified theory of nature. But the new calculations, though inspired by string theory, stand on their own, with nary a string in sight. Information gets out through the workings of gravity itself, just ordinary gravity with a single layer of quantum effects. So if you don't understand the scientific language, then you understand what they really talking about, what's going on. And we know about Admiral Byrd, and he spoke of an area as big as the United States on the other side of the South Pole.
SG on the beat.
On March 11, 1947, Rear Admiral Richard E. Byrd sat in a dark, windowless room in the Pentagon as a Navy pilot who served in both World Wars. Byrd thought he'd seen everything, but what he witnessed in the month before he had shaken him to his core, a door opened into the room and a high-ranking intelligence officer stepped through. He asked Byrd to share what he discovered during the mission to explore the North Pole, codenamed Operation High Jump. The Admiral cleared his throat and told the story what time he left in the naval base in the Arctic, why his plane lost his radio signal, where he'd actually gone. Finally, Byrd admitted that he'd witnessed unnatural cylindrical aircraft that defied all known laws of aviation. And these UFOs didn't come from the sky above, they came from inside the Earth. After Byrd finished sharing the strange details of his expedition, his superior nodded and left the room to report Byrd's story to President Harry S. Truman. The Pentagon detained Byrd until he agreed to keep his mission a secret from the public. The general population weren't ready to learn the truth about what lay inside the Earth. Byrd discovered more land on the other side of the Antarctic. He discovered UFOs coming outside the Earth. When we're going to the Bible, when we're going to the Sumerian text, we know that Satan, aka Enki Ptah, they also live inside the Earth. They got ones that live inside the water. From ancient hideouts to Cold War era bunkers explored 8 astonishing settlements beneath the Earth's surface, which they got hundreds, man, they so many. But this is some. During Kuyu, you see the detail. The volcanic landscape of Turkey, Cappadocia region is pockmarked with several different underground cities, but perhaps none is as vast or as impressive as during Kuyu. That's why a lot of them in Turkey too, over in the underground cities, because they discovered them, that there was stuff off of stones and tablets, and from some of the pre-Adamites. The labyrinthine complex dates around the 8th century BC. It was most likely built to serve as a refuge during periods of war and invasion. With this in mind, its 18-story interior was a self. Let me read that again. With this in mind, its 18-story interior was a self-contained metropolis that included ventilation, shafts, wells, kitchens, schoolrooms, oil presses, a bathhouse, a winery, and a living space for some 20,000 people. When threatened by an attack, each level of the city could be sealed off behind a collection of monolithic stone doors. Historians believe that the Hittites or the Persians were among during Kuyu's earliest builders, but it was later occupied and expanded by a host of other groups, including Byzantine-era Christians who left behind a collection of underground frescoes and chapels. Despite its long history, the city was rediscovered. Now you see, historians believe that the Hittites or the Persians were among the during Kuyu earliest builders. So you see, it goes back, and then they said that earlier Christians around the Byzantine era Christians would have been living in there too. So these are ancient. Located in northern France, the underground city of Neris includes 2 miles of tunnels and more than 300 man-made rooms, all of them hidden some 100 feet beneath a forested plateau. It is.
See, some of them come from Mars. Some of the pre-Adamite cultures come from Mars and some other planets. But the reason why they're trying to get back to Mars because the radiation levels have gone down from all the wars and destructions, what they're called, up there. So now they're able to go back up there. The radiation levels are lower. They try to live back up there, and they still have foundations and buildings up there and stuff. I heard it's still there. Alien base and pyramids found on Mars. NASA kept it a secret. This may be evidence of a giant species turning to giant fossil. What may be a statue since the doorways were so small, 1/3 meter tall openings compared to the hand of the giant, which appears to be 2 meters across. There were also 2 pyramids, one still being carved from the local stone, the other finished with a face on top. The Nazi Party was obsessed with the occult. They scoured the globe in search of mysterious forces that would enable them to build their 1,000-year ring. From the Holy Grail to the lands that pierced the side of Christ, from Tibet to the Antarctic. No regional mythological device was ignored. In fact, they turned the planet inside out looking for something ancient. Something the Nazi elite called the most powerful weapon, a weapon that was instill such awe that it would cause the entire world to surrender overnight. Then suddenly during World War II, the Nazis achieved a massive leap in technology. Because they were not doing what they said they was going to do. And then they also had the clone technology. Then they said Hitler had multiple clones. That the one that killed himself was not the actual Hitler. There's a lot of stuff going on. They was dealing with a lot of the reptilian races and some of the other races of alien beings. Which they were dealing with a lot of the fallen angels, basically. Let's go down a little bit. Hold on. From the first jet aircraft and V-2 rocket encompassing incredible advancement in science and engineering, the Nazis were miles ahead in every area, including genetic manipulation, mass hypnosis, and unfathomable experiments into the nature of time and space itself. But where did this quantum leap emanate from? The U.S. captured Nazi Germany's top scientists, including rocket scientist Wernher von Braun, who were other former Nazis, providing information and technological advancements that would propel the U.S. space program on a fast track to the moon. But where did the Nazis get this knowledge? Von Braun said more than once, "We had help. This is real forbidden history. This is the story of the Nazis and aliens from outer space." Food security and COVID-19. An increasingly number of countries are facing growing levels of acute food insecurity, reversing years of development gains, even before COVID-19. Reduced incomes and disrupted supply chains, chronic and acute hunger were on the rise due to various factors including conflicts, social economic conditions, natural hazards, climate change, and pests. COVID-19 impacts have led to severe and widespread increases in global food insecurity, affecting vulnerable households in almost every country, with impacts expected to continue through 2021 and into 2022. This briefly looks at rising food insecurity during the COVID-19 pandemic and World Bank responses to date. UN Environment Program. George Monbiot, a correspondent for Britain's Guardian newspaper and known for his environmental and political activism, has made a surprisingly call for people in the United Kingdom to cut the use of cars by 90% over the next decade. Many will balk at this idea, but it's perhaps sounding less are after the release by the United Nations of a new report which paints a scary picture of the rate at which we are gobbling up the Earth's resources. And they are gobbling up the Earth's resources all over. The global automobile industry requires huge amounts of mined metals, as well as other natural resources such as rubber, and to the switch to electrical vehicles, while necessary, move to curb air pollution and greenhouse gas emissions is not without some adverse environmental consequences. Large-scale lithium mining for the batteries required to run electric vehicles could cause fresh environmental headaches. You see that? Consequences. Large-scale lithium mining for the batteries required to run electric vehicles could cause fresh environmental headaches. UN Environmental Global Resource Outlook 2019, prepared by the International Resource Panel, examines the trends in natural resources and their corresponding consumption patterns since the 1970s. Its main findings: extraction and processing of materials, fuels, and food contribute half of total global greenhouse gas emissions and over 90% of biodiversity loss and water stress. Resource extraction has more than stripped since 1970, including five-fold increase in the use of non-metallic minerals and a 45% increase in fossil fuel. By 2060, global material use could double to 190 billion tons from 90 billion, while greenhouse gas emissions could increase by 43%. So they plan on gobbling up more and more. So you know what their plans are and count of all that. To get rid of the people. Acute hunger is set to soar in over 20 countries in the coming months without urgent and scale-up assistance, warns the UN Foods and Agriculture Organization and World Food Program. In a new report issued today, Yemen, South Sudan, and northern Nigeria top the list and face catastrophic levels of acute hunger, with families in pockets of South Sudan and Yemen already in grip of at-risk starvation and death, according to Hunger Hotspots report. This is according to Hunger Hotspots report. Although the majority of the affected countries are in Africa, acute hunger is due to rise steeply in most war regions, from Afghanistan and Asia, Syria and Lebanon, and in the Middle East to Haiti and Latin America and the Caribbean. Already over 34 million people are grappling with emergency levels of acute hunger, meaning they are one step away from starvation across the world. The magnitude of suffering is alarming. It is incumbent upon us all to act now and to act fast, save lives, safeguard livelihoods, and prevent the worst situation, said Fact Director General Crew Dong Yu, which we know they plan to set up all these things to keep power in the population plan. See, they don't like to mention it themselves. That was crazy. They want to mention everybody else, but let's check about them. UK faces food shortages as worker scarcity gets worse. From editors to restaurant kitchens, the UK food sector is facing a massive challenge this summer. There just aren't enough workers. The food industry already facing labor shortages because of Brexit and the pandemic is now being stretched to capacity as the country reopens. Meat processors are cutting production, and a catastrophic dearth of drivers is disrupting food deliveries to supermarkets. Warehouses and farms are short of labor too, threatening to choke food supply flows, while local pubs, Michelin-starred restaurants are having to restrict service and boost wages for chefs and waiting staff. We're constantly fighting every day to try and put out fires across the supply chain, said Shane Burnham, who headed the Cold Chain Federation. We're already seeing empty shelves in some parts of the food supply chain and supermarkets and across hospitality. That is going to continue, and we're going to see intermittent shortages throughout the summer. The shortages started with Brexit, with came inflows of low-paid workers from the European Union. The problem escalated during the pandemic, with thousands of people from the 27-nation bloc leaving the UK. Now, as the economy reopens, many of those workers seem in no rush to come back. That's adding to pressure on food costs, already boosted by higher commodity prices and logistical disruptions resulting from Brexit and the Suez Canal blockage in March. A stressed labor market will fuel inflation. The Food and Drink Federation has said the whole food industry is really struggling at the moment, said Nick Allen, Chief Executive Officer of the British Meat Processors Association. were reaching a point of despair, which is seen to head towards a brick wall. The pan with the back flying on the people that set it up. While many researchers and policymakers seem to regard a rapidly increasing global population as inevitable, ordinary citizens recognize the serious problems and risks that were caused. In a 2014 survey by the Global Challenges Foundation, the majority of 9,000 respondents, they don't move everything, in 9 countries, the United States, Brazil, South Africa, Germany, Poland, Sweden, India, Russia, and China, consider population increase to be an actual or potential future threat to mankind. You see that? Let's go back. While many researchers and policymakers seem to regard a rapidly increasing global population an inevitable, ordinary citizens recognize serious problems and risks that were caused. In a 2014 survey by the Global Challenges Foundation, a majority of 9,000 respondents in 9 countries, the United States, Brazil, South Africa, Germany, Poland, Sweden, India, Russia, and China, consider population increase to be an actual or potential future threat to mankind. Same year, a Pew Research Center survey reported that 82% of American scientists regarded the growing world population was a major problem because there won't be enough food and resources. Artificial intelligence fighting overpopulation. They can't kill you, they got to keep track of you. Criticizing others, giving them an unwelcome feeling, can be done by anyone by uplifting them and giving them a good feeling. That takes a special gift and spending effort. Rabbi Nakama Beslaw. We're headed to a massive crisis, and it's not artificial intelligence, AI, or artificial superintelligence. UN says that between 2000 and 2050, the world population will grow at a rate of 50%. If we consider the fact that between 1950 and 2000, the world population doubled from 3 billion to 6 billion, this sounds alarming. Advances in technology that happen every single year have affected humanity in positive and well as negative ways. The better the medicines to save lives and kill lives, they put that enough, and create better living conditions for all is either a boon or bane. A direct result in this has been increased lifespan and the growth of the population in the past 50 or so years. The growth of population has boomed and has turned into overpopulation. In the history of our species, the birth and death rate have always been able to balance each maintain a population growth rate that is sustainable. It might surprise many when I say that AI could help us reduce population phenomenally. You see that? Now, how can AI help you reduce population phenomenally? Development at a rapid pace in the world of AI assures that technology can help us understand overpopulations in better ways than ever before. AI. Anderson writes of Chinese president, party leader, and effective dictator Xi Jinping, what AI side can build history's most oppressive authoritarian apparatus without the manpower Mail needed to keep information about this flow into a single centralized mode. Node in China's most prominent AI startup since time, CloudWalk, Megvii, Hikvision, Deflected, Maya, Pisco, Zai has found willing commercial partners in Xinjiang's Muslim minority. He has found his test population. And in Xinjiang's Muslim minority, he has found his test population. Okay, more than 1 million Uyghurs have been in prison, which is more political prisoners than instance since the Nazi concentration camp. John Oliver discussed life in these prisons and re-education camps on his show this week. But the Uyghurs still live in Xinjiang province are subject to checkpoints, constant video, and other surveillance, and the introduction of Han Chinese, big brothers and big sisters, to monitor forced assimilation into the communist culture. According to Anderson, at these checks, police extract all the data they can from Uyghur bodies. They measure height and take a blood sample. They record voices and swab DNA. Okay, this is what we get to. And this surveillance and political compliance testing ground can be easily exported to the rest of the country. Anderson knows one seen purpose this system in Xinjiang, no technological limitations will prevent him from extending AI surveillance across China. He could also export it beyond the country's borders, entrenching power of a whole generation of autocraft. Okay, right here, that's what we should try to make us skip. China is not only instituting a surveillance society, including a social scoring system for every resident, but it's investing heavily in the artificial intelligence need to manage it all, and make evaluations of what cameras, biometric readers, and internet filters capture. According to the U.S. military estimates, China will be spending $70 billion in government funds on AI development in 2020, compared to $17 billion in 2017. U.S. non-defense spending on AI this year will be about $1 billion. So we see that the U.S. non-defense spending on this year will be about $1 billion. So they're also getting this product. Well, she already got this product, but they're getting more of it. We'll jump back to Matthew 24. But nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. And there shall be famines and pestilences, and earthquakes in diverse places. But pay attention to what's going on. Jeremiah, we're going to go to 4:23. We're going to start at 20. Destruction upon destruction is cried, for the whole land is spoiled. Suddenly are my tents spoiled, and my curtains in a moment. How long shall I see the standard and hear the sound of the trumpet? For my people is foolish. They have not known me. They are Scottish children. They have none understanding. They are wise to do evil, but to do good they have no knowledge. I beheld the earth, and Lord was without form and void, and the heavens, and they had no light. I beheld the mountains, and lo, they trembled, and all the hills moved lightly. I beheld, and lo, there was no man, and all the birds of the heavens were fled. I beheld, and lo, the fruitful places were wilderness, and all the cities thereof were broken down at the presence of Yahweh and by his fierce anger. So we know destruction is coming. Sorry upon them. Second Esdras 9. We'll go to 9 and 4. Then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. For like as all that is made in the world hath the beginning and the end, and the end is manifest. Even so the times also of the highest have plain beginnings, and wonder, and powerful works, and endings, and effort, and sign. And everyone that shall be saved, and shall be able to escape by his works, and by faith whereby ye have believed, shall be preserved from the said perils, and shall see my salvation in my land, and within my borders. So there gonna be some that are saved. People gotta understand, and destruction coming. This shall they be in a pitiful case. Hold on, let me go back. For I have sanctified them for me from the beginning. Then shall they be in a pitiful case. When I have abused my ways, which now have abused my ways, and they that have cast them away, despitefully shall dwell in torments. For such is their life, have received benefits, and have not known me. I was just doing a short teaching on that. I'd like to give all praise to the Heavenly Father. Kahalam Yahweh, Bashem Yahushua.